I've made Pinterest boards for my future career, my future apartment, my future business, my future wardrobe, and more to add on, a lot more to add on. But the only problem I have is that I don't have a step-by-step guide of how to get there. This video is just mainly just going to be about, like, you know, my kind of average daily life, what I do on the daily, but also talking about like my visions of what I want to have when I'm older, and yeah, all of that before I start yapping again. That's pretty much it, but you will see later on into the video as I talk.
Most of the time I have a clear picture of who I want to be, but sometimes I challenge it and I see, is there a deeper meaning to it, like constantly wanting to feel slimmer or wanting to have longer hair or wanting to practically change everything about me. And so I wrote a long list of who I want to be and see myself being, but instead of just telling you straight like what it is, I decided to tie it to a feeling so maybe you can see if you relate. I want to find my own distinct style in clothing, hair, decor, aesthetics, and more, but I always second guess myself in pretty much every department that I've just named, like clothing, hair, decor, aesthetics. Maybe one week I buy a piece of clothing and I like it for like a day, and then I sell it on Vinted because I don't like it, and suddenly I feel like it fits me weird, or it's not my style, even though half the time I don't even know what my own style is. Or when I buy a new box of hair dye and I dye my hair and I like it for about maybe a few weeks, and then I go back and I'm like, oh, why the hell did I dye my hair that colour? You know, it goes on with decor and like my own aesthetic. Like sometimes I feel like I don't even know myself, to the point where I ask people what will suit me, or what will suit my face shape, or what will bring out my eyes more. Not, and that I'm doing it for that, because I actually don't know what I like myself. I just let others dictate what I wear and how I present myself. Honestly, and I'm also absolutely terrified that my business that I plan to start in the next while won't be the way I want it to be. And honestly, I know that it won't be the way I want it to be, because this idea that I have in my head for my business is essentially the end plan for how I want it to look in the end, not how I start developing it. And for starters, I don't even know how to develop a website. I know nothing, well, practically nothing about coding, and I know nothing about managing a business or about the ins and outs of a business and trademarks and everything like that. So it honestly is really like daunting and scary for me to even start it, because what if I completely like mess it up and then it ends up being a failure, and then I'm just too scared again to just start up something again. As someone with a lot of anxiety in a lot of aspects of life, I struggle a lot with being confident socially, like visually, talking, and my anxiety of being perceived and talking out loud is like really bad. And it always has been really bad since I was younger, and it's been a big wish and dream of mine to be able to be confident socially, confident enough to go out and group hangouts, or confident enough to just wear what I want and talk out loud and not be afraid to be heard or to be perceived, which is, I think, a big step for me, and is something that I don't know how I will end up overcoming, but I do wish to overcome it. I've wanted to be a YouTuber since I was around 7 or 8 years old. I would like write down on worksheets in school that I wanted to be a YouTuber when I got older, and then that eventually led to me making gacha videos, and then me making anime edits, and then it was celebrity edits and so on. And yeah, I started doing stuff like this, but I ended up deleting it all, and which is kind of sad that I did, but maybe it saved me from embarrassment. I grew up being told, and honestly also thinking, that YouTube would have been quite unrealistic for me, and that it was almost always phrased and framed as a hobby, and that it wasn't going to be a job for me to pursue as I got older. Like, even by friends around me, they would always tell me, oh, you're never going to make a living out of that. Or be a solicitor, be a lawyer, be a teacher, be something that has a stable pay, you know? But that's nothing, I never craved that. I never wanted to seek out something that was stable, something that was constantly predictable. I want to be able to express myself in my work and be able to really kind of, I don't know, maybe explore who I am as a person. And honestly, a lot of judgmental external factors really affected me from starting it earlier, because they'd always make fun of like other people for making YouTube channels and who suddenly got found out in school who had made a YouTube channel, and it'd be the biggest thing and the most, I don't know, apparently interesting thing they'd talk about. And it always put me in fear, because I'd say, oh, what if it was me that they found next? And what if they've already found me and they're making fun of me? They're taking clips of me or anything like that. But then again, what led me to starting is I saw this quote on TikTok, which is, do whatever you want because they're probably judging you already. And I suppose that pushed me a little bit, and I hope it pushes you to do what you want to do. I want to keep my hobbies like creating, learning languages, reading, gaming, baking, etc. Because when I was younger, these were all my favorite things to do. And I don't want to always be in work mode the whole time. I want to go back to my hobbies and maybe create an art piece, learn a language occasionally. Not learn a language occasionally, but maybe learn a few words or learn a sentence, read a few books. And gaming is like something I've had since I was around like 5 years old. It's honestly crazy. And baking, I got into that maybe in the last like 3 or 4 years. Excuse me. But yeah, I would really like to keep that all up because I'd hate to leave it behind. And it's just something that really brings me back to honestly my core and where I came from, essentially. Another thing for me that I see myself being better at in the future is managing my feelings and thoughts better. And honestly, just what I say, because as someone who's neurodivergent, like, I panic a lot and I have a lot of mental breakdowns and slumps, and I tend to isolate myself a lot. And as I said earlier about my anxiety, it's pretty bad. And a lot of it honestly comes from trauma and things that I need to heal in my own time. But I vision myself being able to deal with things a lot better and deal with them a lot more efficiently and not constantly have breakdowns because of little things. And I would love to learn how to overcome that, and not even overcome it, but just to get better at managing myself. I need and I want to care more about my health and my routine, especially when it revolves around my like allergies and my intolerances. And just looking back on my health along the years, it's been pretty bad. And about my allergies and tolerances, what I mean is sometimes like I'm someone who's like lactose intolerant, borderline, probably coming up to allergy, where I react pretty severely, and sometimes I just eat it anyway, and then it's almost like I forget about how it makes me feel, and then I'm like bedridden for like probably maybe 5 to 7 hours, and it's actually excruciatingly painful, and to the point where I can't even get out of bed, and sometimes I have to have food in bed. It is very bad, and my appetite gets absolutely destroyed. But anyway, yeah, and just about like my physical health in general, like, taking care of my skin, taking care of my teeth. Some days I don't even brush my teeth, I'll be honest. Sometimes I don't even wash my face. Sometimes I don't take a shower for like maybe approximately 2 weeks, which is quite bad. But I don't know, maybe it's a part of neurodivergence or honestly kind of depression. But it's something that I want to heal over time and learn to deal with, and just honestly catch it before it happens. Something I want to really incorporate into my life is journaling. And honestly, it's changed my life through like manifesting, like getting rid of unwanted thoughts or memories, and just looking back and seeing progress in my life. Like maybe, I don't know, 2 years ago, I could have been going through some sort of family problem, and then I could look back on it and say, oh, that wasn't too bad, or I'm so happy that was over. Sometimes it can bring you some happiness in moments when you really need it. And I think journaling is very beneficial for everyone. And yeah, if there's anything that you take from this video today, I would love you to start journaling and really just consider it. Like even writing in your notes app on your phone, or getting a piece of paper and writing it out. I don't know. Or if you can't buy a journal, buy a journal. Get a pen, paper, pencil, anything. It's the best thing you could do, trust me. You manifest anything through it as long as you take action. The final one that I have here is to be financially stable, which also aligns with what I talked about already, which is growing up poor and family, my own anxiety with money. And honestly, I'm not one to say money brings happiness, but to a certain extent of providing me somewhere to live, to see my parents happy and not have to stress about their like rent or about their food that week, honestly would just bring me a lot of joy to be able to see that, because I crave that ever since I was so young, to see my parents happy and for me to bring that to them, to bring that to the table almost, and not to be deep, but I would just love to not even just give them everything they've ever wanted, but give them what I think and what everyone around them knows what they deserve. To go back into that, like, I don't think I can express how bad my anxiety is with money, and it's really hard to see myself like dealing with money well and actually getting things that are worth it. And I mean, I don't mean in the way of wasting my money, I mean investing my money and into maybe more bigger purchases as I grow up. And that's a massive fear of mine. And I think also with rent, that's going to be very fearful for me. But it's something that I'll probably just eventually have to get over. And yeah, if you relate, me too. Honestly, me too. Just like, even like the most scary thing I would do is, well, I don't mean the scary thing I would do, but the thing that scares me the most is I'd go into my Revolut and I'd see how much I've spent this year, and it almost like, oh my god, it's not even that much, but it's just genuinely, my heart like nearly splits in half. Yeah, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed, and my side eye. And if you enjoyed, then let me know in the comments, and if you have any suggestions for any videos, let me know. And I respond to all my comments, by the way. Always have, always will. Thank you for watching. Bye.